Looking for a way to decorate your garden that doesn't involve creepy garden gnomes? Now, that is possible. Using all natural objects, you can turn your garden or household plants into a magical fairy dwelling. Don't have room in your garden? That's okay. Here are 12 creative ideas to get the magic flowing. 1. Fishing pond fairy garden. Fairy gardens are becoming increasingly popular in the craft and garden world, and you can bet that I've been aching to create one in our outdoor space. My girls love the idea of fairies. There's a trail we take at a local park that is known for its fairy population. And when I suggested that we invite some fairies to come and live in our garden, Lila and Lucy immediately wanted to get started. The bottom of the knobs were painted with the white paint, while the tops of the mushrooms were painted with red. Once the knobs had completely dried, it was easy to add the final touches. The little fishing accessories set the stage for imagination and play. I admit that I had a great time setting up little fishing rods and stones around the pool. Our fairy garden has been non-stop entertainment and food for our imaginations since we created it. Sometimes, in the mornings, Lila will slip outside to the back porch to see if anything has moved. Why not create a little invitation to the fairies for your own space? It's the perfect way to welcome spring. Two. Fairy garden in a wheelbarrow. This is very nice fairy garden idea. Fairy gardens add a magical touch to your home, and there are so many ways to present them. We love the idea of using an old wheelbarrow. You can place it under a tree or create a beautiful backdrop. You could even light your fairy garden up for a truly magical look. Three. Birdbath fairy garden. Here is the before picture. I usually plant wave petunias or even succulents in here, but I decided this would be a perfect place for my fairy garden, since I can see the bird bath right outside my window. If you decide to use a bird bath like I did, make sure you drill holes into the bottom of it so that water can seep out gradually and it won't overflow. Think of it as a regular pot in your garden. Dump some potting soil and form sort of a mound on top of the bird bath, so that you can make little hills and such for the fairy garden. You don't want it to be entirely flat or it won't look very interesting. You want to place your house, pots, bench, etc. in the dirt first, before you start placing the plants. I find this easy, because it helps you to space things out, and it's so much easier to move these little items than it is a plant. For the bird bath, I used little blue and white glass stones that I had already in the house. These stones give you the impression that they are water. And here it is. Lovely fairy garden all done. I just love how it turned out. It was fun to play in the garden on Mother's Day, especially with something so dainty and sweet. 4. Fairy garden table. This fairy garden table is a never-ending project for the kids this summer. I love that this space provides 1. Plenty of inspiration for imaginative playtime fun, 2. Learning opportunities about various plants, and 3. Fresh herbs for our summer recipes. Oh, and it is absolutely adorable. Some of our fairy accessories were free or very low cost: a toadstool table and chairs made from a champagne cork, a bunting made with string and colored electrical tape. The girls painted wooden birdhouses, around $1, to look like fairy houses using outdoor patio acrylic paint. The herbs were repurposed from this container herb garden project, and we transplanted some flowers and moss from other parts of the yard. The pathways were made using leftover aquarium pebbles. You may remember this post outlining some of the ways we built fairy houses or furniture using painted bark, twigs, seashells, stones, or small wooden birdhouses. I love that herbs have a place to grow, and the kids can spend hours and hours playing here. It doesn't take them long before they are completely immersed in their own world of pretend play and imaginative storytelling. 5. Suitcase fairy garden. This idea is simple. Line a vintage suitcase with a waterproof sheet, add soil, and start creating your own little world. In this one, add moss from garden. You could also plant grass, low-lying herbs, or other ground covers, or flowers. Choose tiny houseplants including succulents for indoor display. Six. Potted fairy garden. Creating a potted fairy garden will enchant you and everyone around you. In this make-believe mini garden, a pint-sized bush can become a tall tree, twigs and leaves turn into furniture, and tiny woodland people are as close as your imagination allows. It's easy to arrange plants to create a little forest, a tiny lawn and other miniaturized forms of the real world's landscapes. Then the fairies come. Seven. Fairy village. I love miniature. I could go on forever. Try to visualize what you would reuse around the house if you were fairy-sized. Kitchen fairy garden. A fairy garden is basically a miniature garden made of natural materials such as pebbles, wood and living plants. It's meant to be an enchanted green scene where live tiny magical creatures such as fairies, but also gnomes, dwarfs, elves etc. supposed to bring good luck to your home. And you can also get your fairy garden ideas from your kitchen. Nine. Drawer fairy garden. An old drawer is a perfect fit for this fairy garden, with its tiny birdhouse and birdbath, garden chairs, watering can and pretty arch. Plants in this garden include thyme spilling out of the front left corner, chocolate chip jug behind the thyme and variegated boxwood in the back left corner. Wire vine forms the arch in the middle, and a dwarf Chamaecyparis makes an evergreen mound in the back right corner. A little while back we made some small world play scenes in an old desk drawer as it seemed the perfect size and depth in which to contain all those loose parts, and turns out to be so easy to store away again for future play. We just removed the larger items, then pushed it back into the table, ready to bring out any time they're interested. When you live in a smallish house with a lot of stuff, and people, this is a great solution. It would also work well in classroom spaces where storage can be limited to. 10. Water fairy garden. This water fairy garden make your garden look real. Teacup fairy garden. Get bored of drinking tea? Turn your teacup into the fairy garden. 12. Hobbit hole fairy garden. I think this one is very special and very cool fairy garden design ideas. You can read full tutorial from the link on description. that all fairy garden ideas are perfect for children so they can educate it about gardening, having fun with nature, and good for their imagination. And also loved by older people who love gardening and create something different and personal. I hope this 12 fairy garden ideas can give you sample to play imagination and create your own world in the fairy garden.